Hey everyone, welcome back. So in this video, we're going to take another look at doing 360 videos inside of Unreal Engine. We're going to use Unreal Engine 5 and the goal is to use the Oculus Quest. We've had a lot of people ask questions on how to set this all up, even with the other video, and maybe improve some quality, video quality, and some little optimization tips and tricks that you can do along the way. So before we jump in, what I would say is thank you to Smatry for sending me their 10,000 milliamp headset Elite Strap battery, which has actually been fantastic. It means I can use AirLink without having to worry about the battery dying while doing dev work. So it's been a great help, and it's been absolutely fantastic for doing events as well. Literally, did an event the other day, and this thing lasted the entire time while people were playing Pistol Whip and like Robo Recall. So it's been absolutely fantastic. So a couple of things to note is it actually supports fast charging, which you can charge in about 2 to 3 hours. So when it's fully charged, you can actually get from 4 to 6 extra hours on top of your playtime, which has been fantastic, especially for doing dev work. When you sit on the computer all day, you can use AirLink without having to plug it in. You can actually charge the head strap as well while playing VR games with built-in safety system, so it can protect from charge and overcharge. It has an ergonomic design specifically for Quest 2. Head strap supports VR and avoids the risk of VR falling off. Like I said, I've actually had no worries with it. It's been great. The adjustable Elite strap twists the knob at the back of the headset to adjust and tighten. It's been great. It's actually much easier to get on and off. And it also comes with a 1-year warranty for the head cushion, the charging cable, and the product manual. If you do need to extend your actual dev time and just make your life easier in general, the Smartray Elite strap is actually the way to go. It's been great. Yeah, I can't recommend it enough. It's actually made it so I can actually develop with longer sessions without having to worry about taking the headset off and charging it. Because as we all know, when you use the USB link, it doesn't actually charge the headset fast enough. So this is a super awesome way to do that. It's a great product, and I actually highly recommend it. I love it. But yeah. With that being said, we're going to jump in and we're going to go straight into Unreal. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new level, if it lets me. So before we get started, the one thing that I have actually done in my project settings has changed my Windows default RHI to DirectX 11. Having it on 12 for some reason causes my engine to just go to like 10 FPS and it has a bunch of crashes. So that's the only thing that I've changed in project settings. Everything else is just going to be straight out of the box. Cool. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to right click in our content browser. I'm in my maps folder. I'm going to go to levels, m underscore video map. Should be a good one to do. And then we'll open this up, save selected. And in here, we're just going to go to quickly add to the project, basics, and then player start. We'll center this. So we'll set this to origin. Make sure rotation, everything else is fine. I don't think we need to change any auto receive inputs. Should be good to go. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the other level because we're going to create a button that will send us to that map. And then once we're done, we'll return back to this one. So we're going to do a bit of UI and a bit of 360 video at the same time. So we're going to create a new folder in our content browser. And we're going to call this UMG. And in here, we're going to have this as our open level. So blueprint class, actor, BP underscore video button. And we'll need this to display our UMG. And now we can right click and go to user interface, widget blueprints, user widget. And then we'll do widget blueprint underscore video button. We'll open this one up. And in here, we want to go to panel, create a canvas panel, just so we got something to work with. And then we can actually go ahead and set up our content. So we'll keep this super simple. We're going to have a button and it'll have some text in there saying play video. So we're going to angers, center. I'm going to set the alignment to 0.5. And then now we can actually reset the position X, position Y, and it'll be center screen. So we can add some text and we'll call this play video. We'll do compile and save. And now with that done, we can go and close this down. We'll come back to this in a little bit when we set up our blueprints. We can actually drag it into our blueprint. So in our components, we want to go to add, do widget, And then in this, we want to go to widget class, drop down, and then video button. You can see we've got it here. It's pretty big. So we can actually just scale this down. I do about 0.3, 0.3, which is normally an alright scale. And then we just hit save and drag and drop this into our level. So if we put this here against the wall, if you're having issues with collisions around your UMG, make sure to select your widget and then you can go to draw size and you can bring this in. You want it to just clips and then we bring it down as well and then a little bit higher. This is actually really easy to set if you know the size of your widget. So if we go back to our widget and we select it, we can see that it's 380 by 98. So we do 350 by 100, hit compile and save. I'm going to dock that because we'll come back to it later. Now we can do 350 by 100 and it'll be the correct scale. So now if we move it around, we don't actually get a invisible border around it, so the collision will work. And because of the way the Unreal template's set up for VR, we also need to make sure we change our collision. So inside of our actor, we want to go to widget, and we want to set our collision preset to custom, and we want to make sure 3D widget is on block all, or just block. So now our widget should actually, widget interaction should actually hit the button. So hit save, and now if we go back to our widget, we can go to graph, and in here we can get our button. I didn't rename it, but it's good practice to do so. But what we're going to do is we're going to do onClicked. We're going to open our level. I don't have a screen fade set up in this, so I'm not going to worry about that now, but you could place a function in here to fade the screen out to black and then have it fade back in. Just something to keep in mind, really. And then we're going to do open level by name. You could do object reference, but I always experience issues with that and crashes, and it just makes it a little bit more difficult to work with. So I'm going to just promote this to a variable, leave it as level name, and we want to copy our m_video map. So we take that one, put it into our level name. We hit compile first so we can get access it. Video map. I'll save. And now our button should work and load that level. But what we need to do, I believe, is actually change our VR pawn so we can access our widget interaction. Because I'm not too sure if we start it, whether the VR pawn will be there. So what we can do is we can test that first. Widget interaction right, widget interaction left. We'll show debug to make sure they are actually in the scene, which they are. But I don't think the inputs will work on this one. So we might as well double check. And then if we need to cover it, we can take a look. So yeah, so inputs for the triggers don't work until we actually open up the menu there. And then I believe we can actually press it that way. So that's something that we want to fix. So the easiest way to do this is to set up some new inputs inside of our VR pawn, which I've already got open. But to make it even faster, what we can do is we can just copy them from the menu that already exists. So if we go to our content browser and then VR template and blueprints, we can open up the menu. And you can see here in the graph, we actually have this section, trigger left, press pointer key, and then trigger right. So what we can do is we can just take these, Control C, go to our VR pawn, and paste them in. And then all we need to do is change our references. So widget interaction right, we can drag onto there. And then widget interaction left, we can drag onto here. And now, once we compile and save, we should be able to jump in. And without having our widget appear, we can go over and we can press our buttons, but that's not actually working. So why is that? It doesn't make much of a difference, but I realized I got the triggers wrong. So we're going to go to widget interaction, change that to left, and then widget interaction right, we'll change that to right. So now that I've fixed those references, if we use this, the right controller will work, and that is because by default in the template, our widget interaction right has an pointer index of 1, and that works for some reason. So that works with the collision of the UMG, whereas the widget interaction left does not. So what we can do is we can set this to 1, or you can switch it around depending on which controller you want to do. But it's important to keep in mind that when you do that, in the menu that is included in the template, it actually changes around, if I can remember where it is. So in here, they use the index somewhere, and then that updates to detect which one it is. So it's just important to keep that in mind. But by default, using the right widget interaction with the pointer index 1 will work. So now that we've got that, we can do the play button. We can jump into the headset. And then if we go over, we can then actually see that we're hitting it. And then we press it, it loads in our empty map. And this is where we're going to do our video stuff. Excellent. So with that done, we've got our level working. We can actually focus on the video now. So we're going to go to our VR template. And the best thing that's probably to do is actually go online. So I've been online and I've had a look, and I found this website called voos.camera. And they actually have a 360 video of some monkeys. So you can hit the download button on here. Hopefully it's all right for us to use. And then we can just download this. So hit monkeys 360, and it's already .mp4, which is great. It's exactly what we want. Most of the formats don't really work that well. So we're going to show in folder once that's done. So once that's done, we can right click it. We're going to copy. And what we need to do is we need to make a folder inside of our project file called movies. So we're going to go to content. We can actually right click on it here. So show in Explorer. And then we can right click new folder and create it called movies. And then in here, we're just going to paste that video of monkeys 360. You also want to make sure you follow the naming convention for Unreal. So that means no spaces or symbols. Otherwise, that'll just get a bit weird, a bit confusing. It's 74 megabytes. That's fine. You'll find that if you go higher on the size, that it might take a little bit longer for videos to load. So just keep that in mind. And the resolution for this, if we have a look, hopefully we can see. We cannot see. There we go. Details is 5760 by 2880. So what we could do is we could actually change this and make it a little bit nicer for our engine. So Unreal likes power of 2s, especially because we take the video and we put it into a material. If you have an odd resolution, it can actually cause a lot of issues, and it can cause it to lag really bad. So what we could do is we can actually take a look into Premiere, and I'll show you how to fix that if you want. So yeah, why not? We'll just do the whole lot. So I've launched Premiere, and what I've done is I've created a new project name with a new location, and then I've just created a sequence name. So we're going to hit create. And now that we actually have our timeline and our import media, we can bring that video that we've got from movies, and we can just drag that into here. So it looks like we haven't got a new timeline, so we drag this in, and now it's set up. So once it's in here, I've muted the audio, but we can press play, and we can see that our video plays as it is. And if you want to test this in VR, you can actually go to the little spanner here in your viewport, and then you go to VR video, and then enable. And now you can actually rotate around the video, and you can see it in all different directions. And what we can do now is I'm going to set this back to the VR video disable enable, so we can see the entire screen. And what we want to do now is we want to change our viewport or our sequence settings to match what we want our resolution to be. So we can right click on our sequence, we can go to sequence settings, and in here you can see it's 5760 by 2880. So 2 by 1. So what we can do is we can set this to 4096 by 2048, which is also 2 by 1. And then if we hit OK, we should see it zoom in. This will cause an issue, I believe. If we press play and we go back to the video, we should actually see a seam, which is pretty harsh. So we play it now. It's not going to be lined up or 360. But what we can do, Premiere has a fantastic tool in here called VR projection. So we can go to VR, if I can remember whereabouts it is effects. So VR projection in the effects panel. You click this, drag it onto your video, and when you let go, you'll see that it actually updates. And now, if we press play and we rotate around, we actually have our seamless video, apart from the issue that was already in the existing video. So that's a really quick and easy way to rescale and re-edit 360 videos inside of Premiere. All we need to do now is actually go ahead and export it out. So do the same thing. We can go back, disable, enable, and you see it already matches our screen resolution, and it's now a power of 2. So it's 2048 by 1024. Unreal will like this a lot better. You don't actually need to go to 4K with the Oculus. You'll find that this resolution is really good. So file, we're going to export media. So what we can do now is in our export options is change our file name if we want to and save it to our content/movies folder. I'm just going to keep it the same so it overwrites what the original video is because I'm not worried about losing it. And then we can just do export. And we see we've got an issue already exists. Okay, so I do need to rename it. So Monkeys 360, let's do Monkey 360 updated. So now we can do export. And for the file format, I do make sure it's .h246, which is MP4, because Unreal likes that. So now that our video has actually converted and exported fine, what we can do is we can go to our movies folder and we can bring this into Unreal. I did have to rename it and export it again just because it crashed. But what I can do is I can bring that in, and you see here we get a file media source. What we're going to do is open this up, and we're going to check pre-cache file under the advanced. And then for our player overrides, we want to set Android to Android Media, brackets Android Media. Hit save, VR template. And then in here, what you can do is if this video isn't playing on your headset and you're having an issue, what you could try doing is going to media and then creating a platform media source. This is basically like another reminder to tell your headset that it's actually using this. So we can do monkeys, media, or platform, monkeys, monkey, platform, media, source. And then if we open this up, you can see we've got media sources, Android, and rather than selecting Android as the media source, we select the video itself. So monkeys 360 underscore 01, or 1. And now what we can do is we can right click, go to media, and then create a media player. So video output media texture asset, hit OK, and then monkeys and media player. And when we hit enter, you'll see that we get a media texture along with this. But what we're going to do is in our monkeys media player, we're going to open this up and select our monkeys 360 underscore 1. You don't want to do the platform media source because if you double click that, you're just getting error. In the bottom right is behind the camera. But you select the monkeys 360 and you should see your video start to play in here. What we're going to do is we're going to set our player on open to off. We're actually going to use blueprints to tell it when to play. So after we start the level, we're going to wait for it to load. And then we're going to go that way. So play on open, disabled, editor. We don't want to change any of that. Everything else looks great. So we're going to hit save. We'll go back to our contents browser. And then in our monkeys media player video, you'll see that we've got this Vuz XR, which is the starting video. And in here, output format new style, I actually changed to sRGB linear output. You see it goes really small, display 2x2. Don't worry about that. We should be fine. We should be. I might have to come back and change this background, but we'll see. And then enable new style, default use false, that's fine. Advanced clamp, and then bilinear, that's all good. So we can hit save. And now what we can do is we can right click and we can create a new material. So our material is going to be m underscore monkeys video. Hit enter. And then if we open this up, what we can do is we can drag in our monkeys media source or media texture. So we'll drag this up. We'll drop it into our video. And what I do now is I actually go through and change some of the details. So the first thing I do is set our shading model to unlit. I then find fully rough, set this to fully rough. And the next one is our material domain is we're going to set to user interface. You see that drops this down. And from our RGB, we're going to drag off and we're going to do a power. The reason I do a power node is because you can actually get washed out textures, and this allows you to bring those back. Essentially, it adds like a little pop. So for our constant exponent, I do 2.3, and then that normally works quite well. We can hit apply and then save. And now we can go back to our VR template. So now what we can do is we can actually open up our other level. So in VR templates, we used the maps folder and we created our m_video map. We can do select. And now what we want to do in here is we want to get a sphere that we can put this material onto that is in the scene. But what I actually find easier is if we create a blueprint for this video. So let's do it in the movies folder. So if I can find it, movies, we can right click and do blueprint class, actor, BP_monkeys video. Then in here, we can do a sphere. And it's important to make sure that we remove all collisions, so no collision. And I don't think in our material I set it to two-sided. So that's what we're going to do now. Go back to our material and we want to look for two-sided. Okay, so it's not letting us do it with user interface material. So what we can do instead is rather than using the default sphere, we can use the skybox, so static mesh. And then in here, we should be able to go to static mesh and then search for sky. So sky sphere. So edit the sky sphere. That should work pretty well. And now if we add some kind of material to it, we should be able to see it once it probably finishes compiling the material. Unless I just picked a really bad one. Nope, so it is preparing shaders behind the camera. So that applied the material, we're in it. It looks really bad, but at least we know that it's there. And then what we want to do now is we want to look for our monkeys. Oh, if we can search for the right one. Monkeys video. And then we could do that by just searching for monkeys. We can actually set up our code to play the video. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new variable. And this is going to be our media player. So media player. And it's already set to type media player. So media player, we'll do that again. So media player, object reference, you want the one with a little TV. And now if we drag this in, we can do get. And now we compile just so it's there. We can see here that we've got our monkeys media player as a reference. We can right click and then open media source latent. And then we'll do that on begin play. And media source is going to be our monkeys 360_video. And you might want to right click and then split the pin for these options. So options play on open, use media player settings. So we actually have that set to not play on start. So that'll be what we want. And then on complete, we can then actually do the play media. So we wait for it to complete and load. And if you want to, you can actually turn the media source into a variable as well. So just do that by right clicking, media source, and then compile. And you see it actually keeps it because we already set the reference. So now if we drag this into our scene, and we pop it in the middle of our map, I'm not entirely sure how big this skybox is, but if we press play. So if you drag it into the scene and then you press play, and you don't say anything play, what you want to do is you want to go back to your media player and just select the monkeys 360 again, and then just do the save. Close that so you don't select it again, and then in your monkeys media player, with the sRGB, you should actually see the image again as well. So that means it's updated. The issue with this is I don't think the sky sphere box that I used is going to be the best bet. So we press play. It looks absolutely messed up. So what we're going to do is we're going to change our static mesh just to an actual sphere and see if that works. So edit a sphere. We've got that. So it's looking like what we're going to do is we're going to take our sky sphere and then we're going to replace it with the actual sphere itself. But the issue with this is, which I'll show you. So we should search for sphere and then we go down to actual sphere static mesh. We set this one. The image itself is only on the outside, so we need to flip the normals. We could use the modeling tools inside of Unreal to keep it all in one place, but ideally I prefer to do it in Blender, just a bit easier for me. So compile, save. And what we want to do is, if you don't know how to find the sphere itself, you can select the folder here on the actual static mesh, and it'll take you to all engine content basic shapes. And what we're going to do is we're going to right click this asset action, and we're going to export this file out. So in here, what we can do is we can find our location, and then we're going to create a new folder called static meshes. And then in here, what we can do is we can save this sphere as SM, so static mesh underscore video sphere, which should be fine. We'll do save. And in here, because I've already done it once, I've disabled all of the options because you don't need them all. Do export. And now I can actually minimize this and open up Blender. So let's do general, A, select everything and delete it all. File, import FBX. Now we want to find our location. So static meshes, video sphere. We're going to import as it is. And you can see we've got it here. So I'm going to hit tab on the keyboard, which brings us into editing mode. We want to select faces, so you can do that 3 on the keyboard or by selecting in the top left. And all we're going to do is we're going to right click, or actually I've got search set up so I can press space. But I don't know if you can actually flip normals from here. So right click, basically you just want to flip the normals. So we search flip in the search bar, hit enter. All the normals will be flipped. So if we go to, and then we want to do the drop down, so face orientation, we can see that it's all blue on the inside and then red on the outside, which is exactly what we want. And now we can actually take this and we can just export this as it is. So file, or we enter exit with tab, so file, export FBX, and we're going to resave it over the file that we've already got. So static meshes, SM video sphere, export, open up Unreal. And we might as well keep it all together. So in our movies folder, we will import, and then we want to look for our static meshes, video sphere, open, generate missing collisions. We don't want any collisions on this. And then we're going to do import all. And we can see here our sphere actually looks like it's inverted, or it's not easy to tell anyway. I'm going to delete the default material because we don't need that, which came with it. But now we can actually search in our blueprint for that SM video sphere. SM underscore video sphere. And now on the inside, our video is appearing as it should do. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale this up by about 5, so it's a bit bigger. And then if we do compile and save, and we go to videos, when we press play, our video now plays as though we're inside of it. So we can look around. It's a bit jumpy just because of the editing of the video itself. But it does in fact play, and we can look around. And we see that it's backwards and inside out. So what we can do is we can take our static mesh, and we do -5, -5, -5. Oh, no, we'll do 5. So we can actually use this to check. So we want that one at 5, and then we want -5 and then 5. Excellent. So we do compile, and then we play again. Once the video loads, it'll be the right way around. Jump in and have a look. Everywhere. And I think because I muted the video inside of Premiere, it doesn't have audio anymore. So you guys should have that absolutely fine. And then that is pretty much it for getting this up and running. What we can do is if we know the length of the video, so I think we can actually do media source. So what we do is from the media player, we could do drag off, get duration, and then that will split the struct. And then from return value seconds, we could do a delay. Plug that into seconds so it converts. And then we could do open level by name, and have that actually go back to the level that we were in. So VR template maps, VR template map. Let's just rename, copy and paste that. I'll save. We'll do save all. And now in here, if we go back to our VR template, what we should be able to do is press play in the editor. If my headset's going to load up. And that's a bit laggy, but we can go over to it. And now we have play in video. And then it actually loads up. And we can see the 360 video playing in the headset. And it's actually pretty good quality, apart from the video of what it actually is by default. You can kind of see everything. Especially monkeys climbing on your face. But that is pretty much it. One thing you could do to go a step further is, if you really wanted to, you could take the UMG for the play button. You could create a new one and place that inside of the video sphere. So if somebody wants to leave the video before it's finished, you could then select the button and that would take you back to this level. And that's pretty simple. Actually, while we're already here, I might as well just do it for you. So right click and then duplicate and then return to level. And then it's just a case of just duplicating that button. So BP underscore return button. And doing the exact same thing of setting our size. So I can't remember exactly what it was, but in here we just do return to level, compile save, and then our return to level button, we literally have it set up so it goes back to our VR template map. And then that should be good to go. What we do is we can jump into our maps folder, video map, select it, and then in our blueprints or our movies folder, we take that button, or UMG, sorry, return button, we center it so it's right on top of us. And then we can actually change the scale of this again. So 0.2, 0.2, 0.2. So it's a bit small. 0.2, 0.3, 0.3, 0.3. Rotate it slightly and then bring it down. So now if we go from our maps and then make sure to save all, we can jump into the headset, head over to it, select our play button. Should have our button somewhere. So it's a bit low, a bit small, but we can select that. And then that takes us back to our video. And also if we play through the video and we let it finish, we should actually get sent back to the level as well because we're using that duration for the timer. So if we just let it play, because it's only about 20 seconds, I think, should be pretty good. There we go. So the video finishes and then we actually get sent back to the level we were in. So you can use that as a way to go back and forth if you need to. So it saves people from having to sit around and just be in the scene. I don't know if there's anything else that I've missed or I could mention. Let's take another look at the video. So, that was one thing I did as well. I've got to say, so by default, our blend mode is set to opaque. And you can see here the platform shaders, pixel shader is set to 33 for what it is. But if you change the blend mode to additive and you can get away with it, it actually drops down 2 shaders. So you can go through this and you can actually have a play around to see what works best for you. Opaque is probably the best one to stick with because it doesn't allow transparency through blacks, but you can go through there. Floating precision mode on mobile, you could change this to useful precision, which I think would put the shaders up. Yeah, so it puts them back up. Oh no, it's still on opaque, so it goes up. You also then have your forward shaded rendering, so high quality reflections, blended sky cube maps. You don't actually need to touch any of these, and then you should be able to go from there. And if you want to change the brightness of your video, you can just modify the power. So we hit apply, save. One thing I did forget to say, which is crucial for building 360 videos or media to the Oculus, is in your project settings, you'll want to go to maps and modes. Or wait there. You'll want to go to packaging, and then in the advanced drop down, what you want to do is you want to go to specific movies to copy and specific movies to package. So in here, you do the drop down and insert, and then you've got to put a link in there as well as this one. And to get that, what you need to do is go to your actual media, so file media source. And then in here, you've got this link. If you select it once, it'll turn blue. Do Control C. And then you paste that into these, and you should be good to go. So then it'll actually tell the headset which movies you want to put on there. Specific movies to copy, I don't think I normally do that one. So it's specific movies to package, and then that'll put them on the headset with you. Just be wary that the Oculus Quest APK by default has a 4 GB OBB limit. So if your application is bigger than 4 gigs, you will get an error when you build. So make sure your videos are as small as possible and try and have the lowest resolution that you can without losing the quality that you need. A lot of people tell me that it's like they don't understand why they're losing the quality or the performance isn't there. Whereas if they play something on the 360 media player VR in the actual headset, that it works much better. The thing is, when you build your APK, there's a full engine in the background. That's got to process everything as well. So players, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot going on, and a lot more than just the default 360 video viewing apps that are built onto the Quest already. So just keep that in mind that you are running everything in the background, and that takes a hit to performance and it can cause slower load times. So with that being said, I want to say a big thank you to SmartTree for sponsoring this episode with their 10,000 milliamp battery strap and Elite strap. It's been an absolute game changer and it's fantastic. If you want to know more about that, there's a link in the description, so you can check it out and maybe get one for yourself. The project files for this will be available through Patreon to download, so if you want to check them all out and have a look at how it's all set up, then feel free to head over there. And we also got the Discord to help people out, so if you've got any questions, this isn't working, make sure to head over there. It's a bit faster than using the comment section. So yeah, just make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.